My hair's all of a mess. I'm having a bad hair day.
Yeah. Well, actually, one
But
of my
but enough, but enough about coiffeurs and boutiques.
yes,
Let's get on with it. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to do whatever you want and never be responsible for your actions? Want to know how that must feel? That you're able to do whatever you like and you don't have any repercussions. You just need to ask Hunter Biden. He just got a presidential pardon from his father for any crimes he committed, might have committed, or even thought of committing over the last 11 years, from the beginning of 2014 to the beginning of 2025. Of course, these pardons that presidents can hand out were not offered to the other Biden family members. So Mrs. Biden, she calls herself Dr. Biden, but she isn't a doctor. There you are. Or Joe's brother, he needs to be aware of that fact, as because if Hunter getting the pardon, he will lose the right of the Fifth Amendment in the US. And the Fifth Amendment is you don't have to answer any questions
yeah,
to incriminate yourself of any crime. As officially he hasn't committed any crime, he's obliged to answer the questions, and he has to reply to these questions truthfully. Otherwise, which I'm sure he's going to be asked some questions next year, if he's caught out lying, then all of his troubles come back again.
Mm.
And his dad's not there to carry the baby, so to speak. Saying that his dad didn't carry the baby last time, did he?
no,
He doesn't recognize his granddaughter. Right, there you are.
yes,
So, you know, what else did we find out about this pardon? Well, Joe, he justified Hunter's pardon on the corrupt justice system. He said that his son was being persecuted by political factions of the justice system. And it's the very system that the Democrats were supporting when all those cases were magically brought against Donald Trump. You know, Trump, he was accused in the justice
yeah,
system, and it's true. You can't argue with it.
no,
It's people, deeds were done, things
yeah,
were done, charges were brought forward
yeah,
that had no legs, but they just wanted him to go through the throes of a
yeah,
justice system to try and bankrupt him,
yeah,
basically.
yeah,
So now, uh, the actual president of the US is claiming that it is corrupt, throwing Merrick Garland and everybody chasing after Trump under the bus, as they say in the US.
yep.
Right? Joe's just confirmed what Trump has been saying over the last 4 years. So it also gives the incoming president, Donald Trump,
Mm.
a platform to change the players in the now declared corrupt system to clear out all the bad guys.
Mm.
It's going to be really difficult for the Democrat Party to say that Trump is the trying to corrupt the justice
Yeah,
system when it's already corrupt,
yeah, weaponize it. Yeah, yeah,
right? So looking into the future in 2025, it looks like the US will clean house and, as they say, take out the trash, right? Uh, take out the trash, as the banana splits used to take to Fleagle. Hey, Fleagle, take out the trash.
yeah.
I think.
Remember them? Yes, yes.
So there you have it. It's the comments about Joe Biden giving his son an 11-year pardon from the beginning of 2014, which coincidentally was when he started to get involved with Burisma in the Ukraine, up until present day.
Yep.
Apparently, Hunter Biden, tried to clear his rent arrears of $300,000 to a guy to his landlord by selling him literally a shit painting.
Yeah.
It was a painting that he used his own feces to make the design, and he offered him this painting. So
Yep.
what's one man's gold?
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Fair enough.
away you go on that one.
Well, yeah, the hypocrisy is strong with these ones. I mean, I don't know what's well, I do know what's going on. In speculation, are people in power going to use whatever influence they have or what they can do to protect their own people? Yeah, I mean, I've read somewhere, well, any father would do that for his son, possibly. I don't know. Um, I do see that. I mean, if Hunter's not guilty of anything else, it's certainly been a junkie and everything else and taking illicit drugs somewhere in the US, from what I can tell. I don't know where. I mean, to be quite honest, I haven't read all the salacious details any more than I've read them about Donald Trump. I'm not particularly interested, or I wasn't at the time. Yeah, I thought, what relevance is it? As you quite rightly say, they were trying to bankrupt Trump. I thought, well, that's not hiding to nothing. Um, yeah, I mean, the most incredible one was about this property valuation. The banks were doing scrutinizing it and everything else. Nobody was deemed done out of any money. Everybody was happy. All debts were paid with interest. Um, I really
Ahead of
couldn't
time. I
at the,
hasten to add, ahead
at
of time.
ahead of time. I couldn't understand what the problem was. So they didn't find any dirty money in any of it. So, I'm not implying there was either. I'm not saying when I was saying find. Um, yeah, I really didn't understand that. Other things about different other people being saying they were assaulted and all that didn't make any sense to me. Assaulted in a crowded room, thought I'm beginning to wonder. I think it's apparently he had nothing. He wasn't even near her. Took her hand and that was it. I think, yeah. Now Hunter Biden, I'm not going to criticize him for having problems, issues with drugs, because I don't have problems with drugs myself. I never have had, or alcohol, but evidently the poor guy has on that the score has an issue, um, whatever reasons, and I suggest he seeks
You
help.
can't, yeah,
Yeah,
you can't blame him,
no,
because his parents exploited him. His parents exploited him. They knew that he was high on crack,
yeah,
right? And like you said, the first thing you just said, then, he needs to seek help.
yeah,
But of course, they didn't make him seek help. On the
mm,
contrary, He was their bagman.
yeah,
So he couldn't seek help. He couldn't go into rehab during 6 months.
mm.
Otherwise, who's gonna rake in the cash?
Well,
You
that's
know,
it.
and
Yeah,
and so this is what we know so far.
yeah,
Uh, Basically, they're trying to stifle.
mm,
They're going to try and stifle because Hunter Biden was charged with two counts. One about the gun,
yeah,
right, and one about income tax,
yeah,
which is a recent thing. And so, as Biden said, any crimes that he committed or may have committed,
yeah. Well, I don't
because he
understand.
wasn't
Yeah,
being charged with the rest of it,
yeah,
basically that's gonna protect Biden
yeah,
and the whole system of all this. You know, I mean, the justice can still look at it from the angle of Biden's brother
yeah.
and Joe Biden himself. If they found Joe Biden himself guilty, as that special counsel said, he's a well-meaning, forgetful old man.
No,
So who's gonna send into prison?
exactly. He'll
I
can
mean,
claim
he
that. Yeah,
fell he fell asleep in Africa during a during a conference or something. He
yeah.
was just fell asleep. I was like, that must have been awkward.
Well, yeah, he's got other issues. I mean, yeah, is he too old and unfit to stand trial? Yeah, and he certainly has been too unfit to run as president to be the president. But yeah, they kept him in there for other reasons as well. Um,
I
yeah,
wouldn't say he was too old to be president. I would say that he's suffering from a problem.
that should exclude him from being. Yeah,
That's right. It's isn't his age, because I know
no,
plenty of people who are old.
yeah,
That I mean, look at your father-in-law.
yeah, yeah.
He's 102 years old, and in his head. He's as bright as a
Oh,
button.
he knows everything going on. Yeah, I mean, he might not be able to react to it all the time, but he knows exactly what's going on. And oh yeah, he forgets things now and everything else, quite normal. But yeah, he's well aware of his circumstances and he likes people around him.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, he's honestly, people, we talk about cultural things and all that. He's welcomed me here as his son-in-law. He knows I try and do right by his daughter. But yeah, it's a yeah, I mean, that's an incredible thing, but I don't think he could be president of Brazil. No, nor do I think he particularly wants it. Yeah, but yeah. um, ever. Um, yeah, I think getting back to Hunter Biden, I mean, there's so much to dig and rake up if anyone wanted to. It's strange that not even Tucker Carlson has gone after him because he knew apparently Tucker Carlson knew Hunter. Then what? Did you hear about that? They were neighbours at one point. There's something for you to dig into. Apparently, they were neighbours. And he said when he was on Fox News, I'm not going to do anything because the man has issues.
yeah.
Um, yeah, well, it's obviously he does. You see any picture of him. He's the guy that, yeah, you'd keep away from in any circumstances
I've,
if you could.
I've watched most of the videos he's got on his put on his computer. That
Yeah,
computer that was the FBI took hold of and said
I
they
haven't
didn't have.
seen it. I've watched it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've watched some of them.
Oh.
Some of them were quite, if I was 20 years younger,
Now imagine
it's
that they're
something
not
else. It's something else. It's
yeah,
something
they're
else.
not quite the home movies you'd expect. Probably not
Not
found.
really.
Yeah.
Certainly nothing you want to to
This is
look at watch in front of your children.
Yeah, this is what I did on my last trip to wherever. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, okay. I mean, I'm not going to start criticizing him like you say. I don't feel sorry for him. I mean, I don't feel sorry for anyone in his situation. But I do. Addiction is a very, very serious matter, and I'm going to say that. And then you have addiction, and the trouble with addicts, they will do anything. Um, who took the substances into the White House? Well, admittedly, I mean, everyone's laying the blame on him. It might not have even been him. That could have been anyone. Um, yeah, a staffer, for instance, or anyone else. Somebody going in
I,
there and yeah,
it might have been.
well, we're all speculating. I'm not going to go down that one. It's been spoken about in public, so it's public domain. Yeah. Um, would there be fingerprints on the bag? Well, apparently the bag's disappeared.
Of course it has.
Yeah. It's just a bit careless but mind you,
Whoever it was, yeah, of course it was.
yeah. Yeah. I mean,
It might even have been resold on the streets. You never know.
well, I mean, if that's happening, well, you could probably go on eBay now. The bag is from the White House.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a collector's item now. That'll be in the Smithsonian museum in the future at some point. The bag. Yeah. Um,
Empty,
yeah.
of course. Empty, of course.
Empty. Well, yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. I mean, there are things in that museum. They got Lincoln's teacup, haven't they, and things like that. So yeah. Um, but yeah, it's
Well,
a
if Lincoln's teacup can be empty and put on display, I'm sure that Hunter's baggie, empty, could be put on display.
yeah,
Yeah.
the famous laptop. You know. Well, I mean, these are all now in American history,
Yeah, of course.
historical
Of course.
records.
Yeah.
I think they should be there. I think they should be there for everyone to see and understand of this period of history that America has gone through. Um, we study history so we don't have to repeat it again. Um, yeah, again, it's going to be an interesting next year. If anything does happen. Um, I mean, there were promises made about other things being investigated, and it couldn't happen or didn't happen or whatever for various different reasons. Possibly for good reasons. I think somebody was too.
Doubting.
I think somebody tried to be too understanding and tried to be too humane, despite their criticism, and um, found that yes, being decency at that level of political culture is not always the best policy. Yeah, you don't take prisoners,
No.
and I'm afraid I think somebody's realised that, or a few people have realised it, and it's going to be. I think from the 21st of January onward is going to be a very, very interesting time in US, if not world history.
4 years, yeah, for sure.
Well, yeah, we shall see what happens. I mean, there's going to be a lot played out. Fingers crossed that, yeah, that it will be a successful presidency, as I'd wish any presidency or anywhere in the world to be successful. Yeah, I don't want chaos. I don't want problems. I want people in the world to have a good presidency or a good life. Yeah, or as reasonable as could be expected. Yeah, not everything's going to be perfect all the time, and that's when you say taking responsibility for your own actions. We should all be entitled to make our own mistakes. Yeah, should we be given second chances? It depends on what the circumstances are. Um, I've been given so many second chances in my careers and everything else. Yeah, when I could justify at the time what I did, we all make mistakes. We all stray off the path occasionally, wherever that might be. Yeah, we should all be entitled to be for forgiveness, ask for forgiveness, and in the right circumstances, be granted it. Um, I don't know the ins and outs, the legal ramifications of what's gone on last week. As I said, you've watched and studied far more than I have about it. I don't follow everything in MSM mainstream media. Most of the time, I'm not really interested. I saw it as somebody's personal life, essentially. Okay, they were in certain circumstances because they were doing something for other people, um, being used as pawns in a bigger game.